Welcome everyone to another exciting tutorial presented to you by FRC Team 2168, the Aluminum Falcons. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up the Eclipse Java development environment to develop code for your 2012 robot. I'm also going to show you how to connect to a GitHub repository so that you can use a Git style repository for team collaboration. So the first thing we're going to do is download Eclipse by navigating to the Eclipse website. And click on the downloads link, and we're going to download the Eclipse IDE for Java developers and choose your platform. My platform is Windows 64, and then click on the link to download. You're going to save the file to your programs folder on Windows, or save it to the appropriate location on another operating system. So program files and save. Now I already have it downloaded right there, so I'm not going to do it, but once you download it, navigate to that folder and extract the file. Now what you downloaded was, extract here. Now what you downloaded was an application, not an installation. You downloaded an executable file. So the folder that you extract to, when you open it, Eclipse will be in there ready to run. So there it is, and here's Eclipse ready to run, this eclipse.exe. So when we open it for the first time, it's going to ask you to select a workspace. Now the workspace is basically the area where you're going to be working on and saving all of the code that you develop. For this tutorial, I'm just going to choose my documents as my workspace, and don't ask me again. Hit OK. Okay, so when it loads up, this is a window that you'll see. This is called your workbench. If you don't see this window, you might see something a little bit more graphically friendly, a couple of windows and a little arrow on the side here. If you click on the arrow on the side, that will take you to the screen. So now we have Eclipse set up or installed. We want to install the FRC 2012 plugins, and the way we're going to do that is by going to Help, Install New Software. Now when this window opens up, in the Work With text field, we're going to enter the URL where we can find the plugins for Eclipse. Here's the complete URL. It's http first.wpi.edu/frc/java/eclipse/update. Once you type that in, hit add, and we're just going to name this location. We'll call it FRC 2012, and hit OK. And you'll see down here you have Java development tools, and if you click this checkbox, what you're really installing is the FRC Java Development Core, the latest version. We're going to hit next, and it's just going to ask us to confirm what we're doing, so we're going to hit next, accept the license agreement, and it's now downloading all of the libraries a part of the FRC plugin and installing them into the user interface of Eclipse. And it's going to ask us to trust these certificates, so we're going to click on the checkbox and hit OK, and restart the Eclipse software. Alright, so now we have the FRC 2012 plugin installed, and you can verify that by going to File, New, Other, and you'll see you now have 3 new wizards. You'll have the FRC Elements wizard, where you can create a command, an FRC robot project, where you can create a command robot, iterative, or simple robot, and then the examples that ship with the plugin. These are all the examples that you will start a new project. So we're going to hit cancel. Now the first thing we want to do is go to Windows and Preferences and set up the FRC plugin. So we're going to go to FRC Java Dev and enter your team number in here. Once you do that, hit OK. We'll hit apply first and then hit OK. Now we're not done yet. What we need to do is install the Java development kit. So we're going to go to our web browser and do a search for JDK or Java development kit. And you might come up to this link here. Now what we're going to download is the Java SE JDK, and in this case it's 7U2. So we're going to just click on this downloads link, scroll down, accept the license agreement, and then pick your platform. And in my case it is Windows 64. And save the file, save it anywhere. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I already have it saved there, so I'm going to hit no. So once it downloads, navigate to your desktop and just install it. So double click on the exe, and it's going to run through Windows installer application to install the JDK on your website. I already have it installed, so I'm going to hit no, but it's pretty straightforward. Just click next all the way through and you'll be done. So once the JDK is installed on your computer, open up Eclipse again and go to open up Eclipse again and go to Window Preferences, go to Java, install JREs, and we're going to have to add the JDK to this location. So we're going to click on Add Standard VM, hit Next, and click on this directory folder. You're going to navigate to the directory where you install the Java development kit, and in my case I have mine installed in C, Program Files, Java. You might have multiple here, so make sure you select the JDK, not a JRE. Select JDK and hit OK. Now you see all of these jar files get inserted, and click on Finish. Now before you leave this window, make sure JDK is checked and hit OK. When it's checked, it's going to use that by default for newly created projects. So you want to use the JDK for your first robotics projects. And we're going to hit OK. So now we're all set up. Our Eclipse is set up for development and deployment of Java code for the first robotics. We're going to test by going to File, New, and we're going to create a new project. And let's just create a new command robot project. And I will call this Test Robot. Hit Next. And if you can save it in the default location, or you can uncheck this and navigate to where you want this folder to be saved. The default location is the home directory that we selected when we first opened up Eclipse. So I'm going to hit Next. It's going to ask me a package name. The package name is the default package that is going to apply all the code to. I usually like to get rid of a lot of the pretext, because every period adds another directory in your structure. So I'm just going to leave it as FRC2168 and hit Finish. So it created a test robot, and as you can see, it populated the default robot project for a command-based robot into the project, and so we have all this code here. What I'm going to do is I can right-click and I can add new FRC elements by going to this window here, and I can add a command group, subsystem, or PID system. I can also add new Java code by selecting through these menus. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to build this code. So I'm going to come to this play button, select the arrow, go to Run As Java Build. You can also just click on the play button. You'll get this menu here where you can click on Java Build, and it's going to compile this code. And you can see we're successful. So that means that our build path is set up correctly and that we have the JDK working for us. I'm now going to try and deploy to my Creo. So I have my Creo connected. I'm just going to change my network settings. So I'm going to disable my wireless and enable my local area connection. I'm going to make sure I have the proper IP. Okay. let's just ping our Serial to make sure we have a connection. Alright, so I'm connected to my Serial. Now when you click on this Run As button and you click FRC Java Deploy, it's basically going to FTP up to the Serial and send all these files over. So we hit OK. If you have trouble deploying for the first time, you may see where it's trying to connect to the Serial, the OTA server, for a very long time. If that happens, it usually happens on the first deployment. All you got to really do is restart the Serial, and once you restart the Serial, you shouldn't have a problem after that. So it looks like I'm not having that problem. It's connecting straight up, and I'm downloading the code to the Serial. And we're done. So once you see these overload me methods, the program was uploaded successfully, and now you can use your driver station, enable it, and run whatever code was a part of the default package, or edit your code. So we've successfully set up Eclipse to connect to our Serial, and just to note, I'm using the new FRC Serial 2, so I'm not having any problems here. Alright, so now that we know that our Eclipse is set up properly, I'm going to show you how to connect to a GitHub repository in order to use a Git style repository for team collaboration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this project because I don't need it. Hit OK. And since this is the latest version of Eclipse, I know it already has the Git plugin installed, but if you're unsure, go to Install New Software, and in the Work With Me, click the... Okay, so if you see this problem occurred, it's saying it cannot contact software sites. That's because I'm not connected to the internet. So I have to disable my connections to the Serial and connect back to the web. So let's do that. So I'm going to disable this and enable this guy. And usually once you see that error, you kind of got to restart Eclipse. It's never going to connect to the internet by itself. So let's go to File and Restart. Alright. So you're going to go to Help, Install New Software, and in the Work With, you're going to select the drop down and click on All Available Sites. And you're connected to the internet, so it's going to be fetching the information. And you'll see a whole bunch of things that are listed here. These are all the additional plugins that you can install to Eclipse. What we're going to do is in the filter bar up here, we're going to type in Git and hit enter. And you'll see what we're trying to download is Eclipse IDE. And since it's grayed out, that means it's already installed. And so all we need is Eclipse IDE. We don't need any of these other things. We don't need JGit or Mylin. So we're good to go here. And you can also see this by going to File, Import, and you'll see you have Git a part of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our GitHub account in order to pull a repository. We do that over an SSH key. I'm going to log into my GitHub account. Sorry. Okay, when you log in, you'll see this window for the first time. Select your username and you'll see all the teams that you're a part of. And in this case, our team is 2168. And then click on this link here, which is a repository. So you'll finally come to see this page here. And this is our repository where we keep our code. You'll see this link here. This is ultimately the web link for the repository. So what we need to do is we need to set up your account to work with this computer. The way GitHub works is it uses SSH keys in order to authenticate the users instead of using a username and password like you do to log in on the web interface. On the back end, GitHub uses SSH keys instead. So what we're going to do is go to Java. So I go to Eclipse, go to Window Preferences, click on the Generals tab, hit Network Connections, and you'll see SSH2. So code to key management, click on Generate RSA key, and you're going to copy this code, so Control C, and then we're going to save the private key and hit OK. And you're going to save it as ID underscore RSA and hit save. And I already had one, so it's going to ask me to overwrite, and I'll just hit OK. And OK. Hit apply and hit OK. Go to your GitHub account, click on account settings, go to SSH public keys, and I already have my desktop key, so I'm going to delete that. Hit OK. Click on add another public key and paste the key in there. Now when you paste the key, just make sure that your cursor is not on the next line. It doesn't like to have new lines in there. All of these new lines are okay because that's a part of the key. It just doesn't like to have any additional new lines. So paste the key in and then give it a title. I'm going to call this my desktop key. You usually do this for every computer that you're on. And click on add key. And it's saved, so it's good to go. Now let's go to the Java Eclipse plugin, and we are going to import from the Git repository. So we're going to do that by going on File, Import, click on Git, Projects from Git, hit Next. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone the repository that we have on GitHub and copy it to our local repository on our hard drive. The way GitHub works is there's basically two repositories. One which is a master repository, and every user has a local copy of that repository that they commit to, and then you push to the master repository in order to allow for team synchronization. So I'm going to click on clone, and I'm going to go back to our GitHub repository. Click on organizations, your team, and open the repository that you want to pull from. Copy the link under the SSH tab. So I'm going to Control C, and you're going to paste it in the URL. It's going to autofill the rest of these things. The protocol is SSH, and the user is Git. And you're going to hit Next. Or you could also click Store and Secure Store. This is basically like saying remember me. So we're going to hit Next, and it's going to connect to the repository, and I have all these branches, so I'm going to pull all of these branches down. And so now it's asking me where's the destination going to be. This destination is going to create a local copy of the repository on my hard drive, so you have to give it a brand new clean area. When you're placing a Git repository somewhere, do not place it in your project code. Do not place it in your workspace that Eclipse is in. Always try to place it in a document that's outside of the code. So I'm going to just place it in my C drive. I'm going to go to my computer, C, create a folder called Git. So I'm going to have a new folder, call it Git, open. And I want this repository to be called FRC 2012. So I'm just going to hit save. The initial branch is master and the remote name is origin. You're going to leave that the same. Hit next. You don't need to configure Gerrit, so we're going to leave that unchecked and hit finished. What's happening is it is copying the repository from the website to your hard drive. And now it's done. So you'll see in your Git repositories, you'll see that you now have a new repository, and if you can't expand it, you'll see the code. So now what we want to do is we want to pull any projects that we have in the repository into our Eclipse workspace so that we can edit it. So we're going to click on next, and it's going to ask us what wizard do we want to use in order to pull projects. We're going to use the import existing projects. So click on that button and hit next, and it searches the directory for .project files, and it found 2 of these, so we're going to keep those both checked and hit finish. Now you'll see that we now have two projects that are added to our workspace, and this is the code that syncs up with what I have on the website. If you look at Git, if I click on this, you'll see that I have a documentation folder which has some PDFs in it, along with some source code in FRC 2168. And we look at our Java file, we'll see that we also have a documentation folder with all the files. So we have a direct copy of what's in our master branch on the repository. So what you're going to do is, now let's say you want to write some code. The way Git works is everything is done in branches. So you're going to create a branch for your area, and what a branch means, it's basically going to make a copy of the master and save it off to the side, and you're going to be working in the side in that other branch. And when you're happy with it and you think it's ready to be deployed onto the robot, what we're going to do is we're going to commit that code and merge it into the master branch. The master branch always maintains the latest working code, so everything that's in development is going to be in separate branches. Then you can have multiple parallel branches of every user working on something different, and at the end they all merge up to one branch in the master. So what you're going to do is never ever work in the master. You're going to right click, go to team. Team is the area where you're going to always control your Git repository. So everything that you want to do in Git, all the Git commands are available from right clicking and going to team. So we're going to go to switch to new branch. So let's say you wanted to work on some vision tracking software. So you're going to create a new branch. We'll call it Vision Tracker. And you're going to add your initials to the end of the branch name. So in that case, it's KH. Pull strategy is going to be none. And check out new branch and click on finish. So you see right now it says master up here because this designates that we are in the master branch. When I click on finish, it created a Vision Tracker KH branch and then put me in that branch. This operation is only done to the branch that I have saved on my local repository, not what's on the website. So when you work with Git, when you make commits and you change the code, you're only changing the code on your local repository. It's only when you do a Git push to the website that you actually update the website code. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But right now we have this Vision Tracker branch, and this is where you're going to edit and add code. And as you're doing that, you're always going to commit. Commit is like saving. So you want to commit as often as you can. And I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to add some code here. I'm going to go right click, new FRC element, and let's say I wanted to create a new subsystem. And I'm just going to call it, tracker. Finish. So it created this tracker branch for me, and I got this new code here. So I'm going to right click and go to team and commit, and it's going to show me all of the project files that have been modified since the last repository change. And since I only modified one file, which is this one, I'm going to check it and commit that. You always have to add a message, so I'm just going to add that I have a tracker subsystem, but it's not yet working. So I'm going to click commit. Commit's just like saving. You want to commit as often as you can, but just know every time you commit, right now you're only committing to your local repository. It's not until you push that all of your commits are uploaded to the website. So I just committed, and now my repository is in good standing. If I come in here and I make a change just by saying make some change, and I do a Control S to save, you'll see these arrows come into play. What these arrows tell you is that there's something out of sync. So the arrows kind of lead you to where that out of sync is. So it's out of sync in this project. The out of sync is located in the source folder. It's located in the FRC 2168 package, and it's this file. So when I right click and go to team commit, that's going to be the file that I have to modify again. So I'm just going to commit again and say modified comments not working. I use the not working tag in order to just let myself know that the code is not yet done. So I'm going to commit, and now we're in good standing again. So now you want to push this to the repository because you've modified the code, you think it's worthy of team review, and you want to get it on the robot. So what you're going to do is click on your project, go to team, go to remote, and go to push. And you should see a window like this and configured already, but if you don't, just click on custom URI and paste the same URL from the GitHub repository, the SSH URL, back into it. But you should already have it configured. Hit next. It's going to get the branches of your current project, and you'll see we have a vision tracker branch, and it's automatically going to tell you to where it's going to create a new branch in GitHub and place your code there. So once you select your source, your destination will be already populated. Then we're going to click on add spec and finish. It is now going to tell you what it's going to do, and hit OK, and it's done. So if we go to our repository, we'll click on the branches, and you see we now have a new branch, Vision Tracker KH. That's the one I just created. And you'll see if I click on it, last updated about a minute ago. If I click on it, this 20 main robot, I go to source, FRC 2168, subsystems, I'm sorry, tracker.java is what we created. And here is the code that I just added with the make some change edit. So now what you're going to do is, now that you're in your branch, and you can always know what branch you're in by seeing this current branch and drop down. You can switch between branches just by selecting anyone here. When you're in the branch that you just uploaded, what you're going to do next is click on pull request and type in a comment, and the comment's going to be, I think I'm done, check it out. And what this is going to do is it's going to send a message to everyone on your team to say, hey, you've just updated a new branch, check it out, and merge it into the master. And what the team leads will do is then look at your code, and they will verify if it's correct, and if it's not correct, they can send you comments through the interface and have you update the code. And if it is correct, they will use the git merge command in order to merge your branch into the master branch, and then you're done. And then you repeat the cycle over by creating a new branch, working on some new code like a drivetrain code or PID code or some other aspect of your project. Push it to the website when you're done, and do this all over again. And that's how you're going to use GitHub as a central repository system with the Eclipse IDE. So that's it, we're done. I hope this tutorial was informative, and if you have any questions at all, as always, please post a comment in the video on YouTube or on the team2168.org website. Thank you.